Oh, real quick before we get into the video though, I just want you to drop a like and comment on the video, just because, you know what I mean, I'm giving y'all some sauce on this Lil Baby stuff, so I think the least y'all could do is just hook me up with a like, you feel me? Maybe a comment, maybe a sub. I mean, I ain't gonna stop you if you want to do it, you feel me? But you know, favor for a favor, and without further ado, let's get into the video. What's up, my name is Devin. I also go by Infinite or Proud by Infinite, and today I'm finna show y'all how I make Lil Baby loops without Omnisphere and without Kontakt. Alright, so I'm going to play the loop for y'all real quick, and then I'm going to get down to how I did it and what sounds I used for it. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing that I did was pull out this piano in Analog Lab 5. It's called the American Distant Room. And here is the MIDI that I played out. Well, not played out, I clicked it in, if we being honest. But I'm going to tell y'all how I put everything together and how you guys can do it too very easily. So when you hear it by itself, it actually sounds kind of complicated. But when I break it down to y'all, it's going to be really simple. So all this really is just the root note of the scale that we're in, which is C sharp minor. Let me switch it over to that real quick, just so it's easier to see. And then one other note that I liked. That's all it is. So these are the first notes that I put down. I was like, oh, that's hard. And then I just layered more like C sharps on top. You know what I mean? So it was just this. And then I layered it down. So I put those two together, and then I put one on top as well, like in a very high octave. So I just found one more note in between those C sharps that I liked, which was the G sharp. And then I just layered another C sharp on top and then strummed the notes. And then this is what that sounds like together for the first chord. And as you can see, very cinematic, very dramatic, and very dark as well. And then I basically just took that chord and I just copied it over 4 times. So that one chord is just literally getting played over 4 times. And then what I did to spice it up and actually make it like sound good and everything like that was I made other notes in between the other chords. You know what I mean? So that's how you really spice it up. You could take a regular chord that's normal and then put passing notes in between. That's what these are called right here. And make it sound better than what it is. You know what I mean? So like, let's take these out real quick and let's just listen to the chords. You mean, like, it sounds cool, but it's nothing crazy. But then once you add in the notes, which if you break it down one step at a time, it's really simple. Like, these are just 3 extra notes that I found within the chord that sounds good with everything else. So bum 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 bum. Really simple. You just gotta break everything down step by step. So just get yourself a cool little chord. Then just get a couple notes that you find sound good that create a little bit of movement with it. And then you just copy that over and just create a little bit of variation. The way that I created variation with it is this note right here. I made one go high. I made one go low. So as you can see, this is just the same chord copy over multiple times with just small differences in between each one. And that's like the easiest way you could really make these chord progressions for these Lil Baby type beats. And then after that, I just took the whole thing, copied it over into this part right here and pitched it up. These are the exact same notes, the exact same chords, the exact same notes. I just pitched it up a little bit and made sure it was still within the same scale and just rocked it like that. Then when I was done with those chords, what I did was make this little melody on top. When you're doing these Lil Baby melodies, it's really best to go into the 1/3 step and create the bounces like that, because that's where you get those the bigger picture kind of piano runs. You know what I mean? Like these little things right here. You know what I mean? You just go into the 1/3 step and you just kind of space them out and make the melodies like that. So if you break it down by itself again, this is really simple as well. You know what I mean? It's nothing really crazy. It's just a whole bunch of simple things stacked on top of each other. You know what I mean? It's just a couple notes put together. It's just one note to kind of start everything off, and then just one little run, another note to kind of like keep that bounce going, and then just repeat it over. And then you make the second half a little bit different. And that is that simple. You know what I mean? So when you look at it all together, yeah, it does look kind of complicated. But then when you break it down step by step, it's really not that hard. You know what I mean? So just to recap how I did the piano, one simple chord, create a couple extra notes to make it like bouncy and cool, and then go on top and just do something really simple as well. And make sure you're using that 1/3 step to create your melodies. All right, and then once I got that main part down, like the biggest hurdle was done. You know what I mean? Everything else is just kind of accenting it. So the next thing that I did was I went over into SRX Orchestra. I got these fast cellos. And then I just did this melody right here. Once again, I'm using that 1/3 step spacing. So I mean, like this is that 1/3 thing. You know what I mean? So if you look at it like 1/2, you know what I mean? It's all off the grid. So these melodies, once you put them into 1/3 step, it makes it so much easier to do. I promise y'all. And once again, this is just simple as well. It's just... See, it's just one simple idea. And then you copy it over, you make it a little bit different. Copy it over again, make it a little bit different. Copy it up. You see what I'm getting at here? You can just get one small idea and just make small, like little variations to it later on, and you can really just make a whole idea out of that. You know what I mean? So this right here is the same thing as this right here. I just pitched up a couple of. I just pitched up a couple of the notes. That's all. That's the only difference between this right here and this right here. And then I just copied this one over right here one more time. And that's just so we can like keep the repetition for balance and everything, make it feel like it's all cohesive and everything like that. And then I took this one right here, copied it over, and I just added 2 extra notes, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then once again, this right here is the same exact thing. And then once again, this right here is the same exact thing as this right here. It's just pitched up and still within the scale. That's it. Other than that, it's like literally the exact same thing. And then after that, I just added these strings. And when I do this, I usually just follow like the top notes of the melody. So whatever like the top note is for the melody, I usually just kind of like stick to that. Or whatever notes I use within the chord, I usually just pick one of those and I try to like make it work just so everything feels cohesive and put together. You know what I mean? And then this, I don't really need to explain it. It's just a couple notes. You know what I mean? Just 3 notes right here, and then you just flip it around 3 notes down. Yeah. And then I went into arcade, grabbed these vocals right here. Yeah, I mean, that's this bank right here. I found that distant voices works better for these type of beats. You know what I mean? I feel like distant voices is way more emotional, and it's easier to carry like a darker tone to it, or like a sad tone over hooked. You know what I mean? So whenever I'm doing like something like dark or hard or anything like that, pause. I tend to definitely go with distant voices. And then the last thing is I took this flute right here. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I just took that and put it in the beginning, and I just made kind of like an A section and like a B section. Just because if you try to play the flute and like the strings right here at the same time, it ends up just getting too busy. So I just made 2 different sections just so like the person who's using the loop has like a little bit more variation and everything like that. And the flute that I used was this one in SRX Studio. It's called the ATK flute. I usually like having flutes that have that little airy sound to it. It always sounds a little bit cooler and a little bit more realistic to me, a little bit more ethnic and everything. You know what I mean? So I usually try to choose the ones that have that airy feeling, like the... You know what I mean? That sound like you actually blowing into the flute. Pause. All right, so let's get into the effects real quick. The piano, It's just an EQ. I just boosted up a whole bunch of different frequencies because the piano by itself is kind of ambient. So I boosted up the frequency so you could kind of like feel it more. You know what I mean? RC20 just to bring up the distortion. Add a little bit of reverb. I don't know what this magnetic one does, but it's there. You know what I mean? Then I just threw on Fruity Delay 2. All I did was just mess with this time knob. I just put it at 12 o'clock. And then I just turned the mix down until I liked it. And then a little bit more EQing. This is just like at the end, just like final touches to make sure it sounded like really good to me. Then the high strings, it just has Valhalla Vintage Verb on it. And then I threw some delay on it. Once again, moved the time knob to that middle point. And then I just turned down the high end because it was a little bit too harsh in my opinion. And then next were the other strings. This one I actually didn't do anything to them. They sounded good as they were. A lot of VSTs already put effects on the presets, you know what I mean? So sometimes you don't even really need to do anything to them. You know what I mean? And then the vocals, Fruity Love Filter, reverb, chorus, EQ, delay, and another EQ to kind of like touch it up at the end and just make it sound exactly how I want it to. And then for the very last sound was the flute. We got the reverb on there, a whole bunch of reverb. You know what I mean? Just because I feel like it kind of sounds cool when you do that. You know what I mean? Another EQ. This EQ looks atrocious. You know what I mean? I really had to do whatever I had to make it sound how it sounds. Sometimes you'll do weird things when you're mixing just to make it sound how you want it to. You know what I mean? Because like for this one, for instance, it makes no sense to have two different EQs like this. You know what I mean? You have one where it's cutting out all the high end and then you have another where it's boosting. But sometimes when you're trying to tweak things exactly how you want them to, you do weird things. You know what I mean? And then the very last effect, you got just a delay. Once again, put it up to 12. I didn't even touch anything else on there. And I just played with the mix knob until it was at where I liked it. And with that being said, that concludes this video. If you like the video, like the video. If you want to comment, though, comment. If you want to sub, hit the sub, man. My name is Devin. I also go by Infinite, powered by Infinite. Peace out.